The Law of Rhythm. Flowing with Life's Natural Cycles. Ciro, Irmici. Copyright 2024 Ciro, Irmici. All rights reserved. Understanding the flow of life. Life moves in cycles, like the gentle rhythm of the ocean's tides or the predictable turning of the seasons. We see it in nature, where trees blossom in the spring, flourish in the summer, shed their leaves in the fall, and rest in the quiet stillness of winter. But this rhythm is not just found outside us. It pulses within us in our emotions, energy, relationships, and even in the unfolding of our personal and professional lives. This is the law of rhythm, one of the universal laws that governs the flow of life. The law of rhythm tells us that everything in the universe operates in a dance of ebb and flow, rise and fall, action and rest. Just as the waves of the ocean are never constant, our lives are in a state of perpetual motion, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes full of vitality, and at other times quiet and still. When we learn to understand and embrace this natural ebb and flow, we find a sense of peace and balance, even in the midst of life's challenges. But in a world that often rewards constant activity, achievement, and progress, many of us resist the down cycles, feeling like we're falling behind or losing momentum when things aren't moving fast enough. We may even struggle to enjoy the high points, always worrying about when the next dip will come. This resistance can lead to frustration, stress, and a sense of being out of sync with life's natural rhythm. The purpose of this book is to help you flow with the natural cycles of life instead of fighting them. We will explore how the law of rhythm manifests in all areas of your life, your personal energy, emotions, relationships, finances, and even your spiritual growth. You'll learn to recognize the seasons of your own life and align your actions and mindset with the current phase you're in, whether it's a time for action and expansion or a period of rest and reflection. We'll also delve into practical strategies that will help you create more harmony in your daily life by syncing with these natural rhythms. By doing so, you'll not only reduce stress but also discover a deeper sense of trust in the unfolding of your life. The law of rhythm isn't here to make your life predictable or free of challenges, but to teach you how to move through every cycle with grace, understanding, and resilience. In the chapters that follow, you will be guided through the many dimensions of this universal law and how it can serve as a powerful tool for personal transformation. You will come to see that every low has its purpose, every high its lesson, and every phase of life is an opportunity to grow. Life's cycles are not something to be feared or controlled, but rather understood and appreciated for the wisdom they bring. This journey of understanding the law of rhythm is about discovering how to dance with life, rather than push against it. So, as we embark on this exploration together, I encourage you to keep an open heart and mind. The goal is not to perfect the rhythm of your life, but to learn to flow with it, trusting that every moment, whether high or low, is a necessary part of your personal evolution. Welcome to the rhythm of life. Let's begin this journey of understanding how to flow with its natural cycles, and in doing so, discover the true balance and peace that come from living in harmony with the universe. The universal rhythms of nature. Have you ever paused to watch the ocean? The waves rise and fall in an eternal dance, pulling back from the shore only to surge forward again moments later. This rhythmic ebb and flow is so natural that we often overlook its deeper significance. Yet these cycles are not confined to the ocean. They are present in all aspects of nature and by extension in our lives. The law of rhythm is fundamentally about understanding these natural patterns. In nature, nothing remains static. Everything operates in cycles, whether it's the phases of the moon, the changing of the seasons, or the rhythms of day and night. These cycles exist to create balance, ensuring that no phase, whether growth, rest, or decay, lasts forever. This idea of constant motion, of flow, is essential to understanding how to live in harmony with the world around us and with ourselves. Nature's cycles as a mirror of life. We can learn a lot about life by observing the patterns found in nature. Just as winter gives way to spring, periods of stillness and rest in our lives often precede times of growth and expansion. The seasons of nature are a perfect metaphor for the seasons of our personal lives. In the spring, we plant seeds, whether they're ideas, relationships, or new ventures. It's a time of fresh beginnings, optimism, and hope. As these seeds grow, we enter summer, a phase where we work hard to nurture our projects and ourselves. Energy is high, and progress is visible. Then comes autumn, a time for harvesting, reflection, and reaping the rewards of our efforts. And finally, we move into winter, a season of rest, stillness, and preparation for the next cycle. Understanding this rhythm in nature can help us appreciate that we too are meant to go through similar phases in our own lives. We aren't meant to be constantly in motion, always pushing forward. There are times when life calls for rest and introspection, and these moments are just as valuable as those of outward action and achievement. The rhythms of the day, the law of rhythm, also plays out on a smaller scale in our daily lives. The Earth's rotation creates a natural rhythm of light and darkness, wakefulness and rest. We rise with the sun, full of energy, ready to take on the day. As the day progresses, we experience natural fluctuations in our energy and focus, often feeling a dip in the afternoon. Finally, as the sun sets, our bodies prepare for rest, winding down for sleep. By aligning with these daily rhythms, we can enhance our well-being. For example, working with our body's natural energy peaks during the day can lead to greater productivity and creativity, while honoring the need for rest and sleep at night helps us recharge for the next day. Too often, we ignore these natural cues, pushing ourselves to work late into the night or staying active when our bodies crave rest. Over time, this creates a feeling of imbalance, leading to burnout, stress, and dissatisfaction. By recognizing and respecting the daily cycles that govern our energy and focus, we can create a life that feels more aligned and sustainable. Tides and the lunar phases, subtle yet powerful, even the ocean with its constant waves is influenced by the rhythms of the moon. The gravitational pull of the moon causes the tides to rise and fall in a predictable cycle. This influence isn't limited to the oceans. It also affects human emotions and behaviors. Ancient civilizations recognized the moon's power over human moods, noticing that emotions often ebb and flow in harmony with the lunar cycle. Just as the moon has its phases, new, waxing, full, and waning, we experience emotional and energetic cycles that correspond with these rhythms. During the new moon, we may feel a sense of new beginnings, a time for setting intentions and planning. As the moon waxes and grows, our energy levels and focus often increase, building towards the full moon, a time of heightened emotions and activity. Then, as the moon wanes, our energy naturally diminishes, signaling a time for reflection and letting go. By tuning into these lunar rhythms, we can better understand and manage our own emotional cycles. Rather than resisting feelings of low energy or heightened sensitivity, we can embrace them as part of the natural ebb and flow of life, knowing that these phases will pass and new energy will rise again. Embracing natural rhythms in modern life, in today's fast-paced world, it's easy to become disconnected from the natural rhythms of life. We've built a society that values constant productivity and instant results, often at the expense of our well-being. But when we look to nature, we see that everything has its time. There's a time for growth, a time for rest, and a time for renewal. Trying to rush through or skip certain phases disrupts this natural flow and leads to imbalance. The key to aligning with the law of rhythm is to recognize and honor these natural cycles, both in the world around us and within ourselves. When we find ourselves in a period of rest, instead of feeling guilty or anxious about not being productive, we can use that time to recharge and reflect, knowing that action and growth will naturally follow. Conversely, when we're in a high-energy, productive phase, we can embrace it fully, knowing that it too is temporary and will eventually give way to a quieter time. By embracing this rhythm, we allow ourselves to move through life with more ease and grace, trusting that each phase has its purpose and that balance will be restored in time. In this chapter, we've explored how the law of rhythm plays out in nature through cycles like the seasons, the tides, and the phases of the moon. These natural rhythms are a reflection of the cycles within our own lives, offering us valuable lessons in how to flow with life's changes instead of resisting them. The ebb and flow of energy. We all experience days when we wake up feeling energized and ready to take on the world, as well as days when we struggle to find the motivation to even start. These fluctuations in energy are a natural part of life, governed by the law of rhythm, which teaches us that everything moves in cycles, energy included. Just like the ocean's tides, our personal energy rises and falls, and learning to navigate this ebb and flow is key to maintaining balance and well-being. Recognizing your energy cycles, the first step to mastering the rhythm of your personal energy is to become aware of it. Every individual has their own unique energy patterns, shaped by factors like daily habits, environment, physical health, and emotional state. Some people are naturally more energized in the morning, while others find their peak focus later in the day. Similarly, some may feel a natural dip in the afternoon, while others may have a surge of creativity or motivation during that time. Recognizing these patterns helps us work with our energy, rather than against it. When we are aware of when our energy is at its highest, we can plan tasks that require more focus, creativity, or physical effort during those times. Likewise, during periods of low energy, we can give ourselves permission to rest, recharge, or tackle simpler tasks that don't require as much mental or physical engagement. The danger of constant output. In modern society, there is an immense pressure to be productive all the time. We are often taught to push through fatigue, to hustle even when we feel drained, and to equate constant activity with success. However, this mentality directly conflicts with the natural rhythm of energy. Just as the tides cannot be high all the time, neither can our energy levels remain at their peak indefinitely. When we ignore these natural rhythms and push ourselves too hard, we risk burnout. Burnout occurs when we continuously deplete our energy without allowing time for recovery. It manifests in various ways: chronic fatigue, irritability, lack of motivation, and even physical illness. The law of rhythm reminds us that pushing during low energy periods is unsustainable, and the solution isn't to force productivity, but to recognize when to step back and allow ourselves to rest. Harnessing your energy peaks. Instead of fighting against our natural energy cycles, we can learn to harness our peaks, those times when we feel most alive, focused, and productive. The key is identifying when these peaks occur and structuring our days around them. For example, if you know that your mind is sharpest in the morning, dedicate that time to important projects or tasks that require deep thinking. Use your peak energy for creative work, problem solving, or tasks that require focus and determination. During these periods, you are in the flow, where everything feels easier and more aligned. On the other hand, if your peak comes later in the day, plan for simpler tasks in the morning, and save your more demanding work for when your energy naturally rises. By aligning your activities with your energy peaks, you not only accomplish more, but also feel more in tune with your natural rhythms, reducing the stress of trying to push through fatigue. Managing low energy periods. While we may prefer to stay in our high energy phases, the reality is that low energy periods are just as important. These dips are not a sign of laziness or weakness. They are a natural part of the energy cycle, necessary for recovery and renewal. When you experience these times of low energy, it's important to honor them rather than resist them. Instead of forcing yourself to power through, use these periods for reflection, planning, or simple tasks that don't require as much effort. This could be a time to organize your workspace, respond to emails, or do routine work that doesn't demand a lot of focus. You can also use this time for self-care, whether it's taking a break, meditating, going for a walk, or simply allowing yourself to rest. Understanding that low energy periods are temporary can help reduce the frustration that often comes with them. By accepting the natural ebb of energy, you give yourself the space to recharge, knowing that a surge of vitality will return in time. This mindset shift allows you to flow with life, rather than constantly battling against it. The cycles of creativity. One of the areas where the ebb and flow of energy is most apparent is in creativity. Creativity, like any other aspect of life, has its own cycles. There are times when ideas flow effortlessly, when inspiration strikes, and we feel deeply connected to our creative potential. But there are also times when inspiration seems distant, and creative work feels more like a struggle than a joy. It's during these low creative periods that many people become discouraged, thinking they've lost their creativity or hit a permanent block. However, the law of rhythm reminds us that this dip is simply part of the creative cycle. Just as waves retreat to gather energy before surging forward again, our creativity needs time to rest and regenerate before the next wave of inspiration comes. During these down periods, it's important to remain patient and gentle with yourself. Rather than forcing creativity, focus on nurturing your mind and spirit. Read, observe, reflect, and give yourself permission to step away from your creative work temporarily. Trust that the inspiration will return in its own time, and when it does, you will be ready to ride that wave with renewed energy and enthusiasm. Finding balance in the ebb and flow, the key to thriving within the law of rhythm is balance. Just as nature maintains balance through cycles of action and rest, we too must find a balance between our periods of productivity and rest. Instead of viewing these two states as opposites, we can see them as complementary, each necessary for the other to exist. When we learn to embrace the ebb and flow, we stop fighting against the natural rhythms of life. We stop pushing ourselves when our energy is low, and start using our energy peaks more effectively. This creates a more sustainable way of living, one that respects the cyclical nature of our energy and prevents burnout. Practical tips for working with your energy. Here are a few strategies to help you align with your natural energy rhythms and create a more balanced, harmonious life. 1. Track your energy levels. Start by paying attention to when your energy peaks and dips throughout the day. Keep a journal or use an app to note how you feel at different times. Over time, you'll notice patterns that will help you better plan your activities. 2. Work with, not against, your rhythms. Once you've identified your energy patterns, structure your day to align with them. Save high-energy tasks for your peak times and low-energy tasks for when you naturally feel more tired. 3. Honor rest. Embrace rest as a necessary part of the cycle. Schedule regular breaks throughout your day, and don't feel guilty about taking time to recharge during low-energy periods. 4. Fuel your energy. Take care of your body and mind by fueling your energy. This includes getting enough sleep, eating nourishing foods, staying hydrated, and engaging in activities that restore your spirit, such as spending time in nature, meditating, or exercising. 5. Stay patient during low phases. Remember that low energy periods are temporary. Instead of resisting them, use them as a time for reflection and quiet activities. Trust that the next wave of energy is on its way. In this chapter, we've explored the natural ebb and flow of energy, and how recognizing and embracing these cycles can lead to a more balanced, fulfilling life. By working with our energy rhythms, we can enhance productivity, avoid burnout, and experience greater harmony in our daily lives. Emotional cycles and well-being. Emotions, like everything else in life, are subject to cycles. We all experience times of joy, enthusiasm, and excitement, as well as moments of sadness, frustration, or anxiety. These emotional ups and downs are not random or signs of instability. They are part of the natural rhythm of our emotional life. Understanding this emotional ebb and flow, and learning how to navigate it, is essential for maintaining mental and emotional well-being. The emotional tides, highs and lows, much like the waves of the ocean, emotions rise and fall. When we are riding the wave of positive emotions, life feels easy and light. We feel motivated, creative, and connected to ourselves and others. However, just as waves inevitably recede, we also experience emotional lows. These can take the form of sadness, irritability, doubt, or a general sense of unease. It's important to recognize that these emotional cycles are completely natural. Every emotion we experience serves a purpose, and even the more difficult feelings have something to teach us. The law of rhythm reminds us that just as joy and happiness come in waves, so too do sadness and frustration. Neither state is permanent, and both contribute to our emotional growth and resilience. Embracing the full spectrum of emotions in modern culture, there is often a strong emphasis on staying positive or keeping a happy mindset, which can create a sense of pressure to avoid or suppress negative emotions. However, the law of rhythm teaches us that true emotional health comes from embracing the full spectrum of emotions, both positive and negative. By allowing ourselves to fully experience our feelings, without judgment or resistance, we create emotional balance and peace. When we deny or suppress certain emotions, we disrupt the natural emotional cycle, which can lead to greater internal stress. For example, pushing down feelings of sadness or frustration only causes them to build up, eventually resurfacing in more intense or disruptive ways. Conversely, allowing ourselves to feel and process these emotions as they arise lets us release them more easily, making way for the return of positive emotions. It's helpful to remember that every emotional low is followed by a high, and every high will eventually come back down. This is the rhythm of life, and by flowing with it rather than resisting it, we can move through emotional challenges with greater ease and understanding. The importance of emotional awareness, one of the most valuable tools for managing emotional cycles, is emotional awareness. This involves tuning in to how you are feeling, identifying your emotions, and understanding what they are telling you. Just as we track the ebb and flow of energy, we can also track the rise and fall of our emotions. When you become aware of your emotional patterns, you gain a deeper understanding of what triggers certain feelings and how long they typically last. For example, you may notice that feelings of anxiety often arise in the morning and fade by midday, or that sadness tends to surface after a period of intense work or stress. By recognizing these patterns, you can approach your emotions with more clarity and less overwhelm. Practicing emotional self-care, navigating emotional cycles also requires emotional self-care. Just as we care for our bodies and minds, we need to care for our emotions. This involves giving yourself permission to feel what you feel, without judgment or pressure to fix things right away. Here are a few practical ways to practice emotional self-care. 1. Acknowledge your emotions. The first step to emotional well-being is acknowledging your feelings. Rather than pushing them away, simply recognize what you are feeling in the moment. It can be helpful to label your emotions, e.g., I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling excited, as this brings a sense of awareness and acceptance. 2. Allow yourself time to process. Emotions don't always resolve themselves instantly. Sometimes, we need time to fully process how we're feeling. Give yourself space to sit with your emotions, whether that means journaling, talking to a friend, or simply taking a quiet moment to reflect. 3. Don't force positivity. While it's great to focus on the positive aspects of life, forcing positivity during a low emotional period can feel inauthentic and even harmful. Instead, focus on authentic self-compassion, acknowledging that it's okay to feel down and that these feelings will eventually pass. 4. Engage in activities that nurture your emotions. When you're experiencing an emotional low, engage in activities that nurture your emotional well-being. This could be as simple as going for a walk in nature, practicing mindfulness, listening to music that soothes you, or spending time with loved ones. 5. Recognize the transience of emotions. One of the most comforting aspects of the law of rhythm is the reminder that no emotional state lasts forever. Just as the tide eventually recedes, your feelings of sadness, anger, or frustration will eventually give way to lighter, more positive emotions. Reminding yourself of this can provide perspective during difficult emotional periods. Navigating emotional highs and lows, understanding that emotions come in cycles, allows us to be more resilient during emotional lows and more grateful during emotional highs. Both states are part of the same natural rhythm, and neither is permanent. Just as the night gives way to the dawn, so too do difficult emotions eventually pass. However, it's important to also navigate emotional highs with mindfulness. When we are on an emotional high, feeling excited, joyful, or full of energy, it's easy to become swept away by the moment. While these feelings are wonderful, they too are part of a cycle, and it's important not to become attached to them. If we expect to stay in a high state indefinitely, we set ourselves up for disappointment when the natural rhythm brings us back to a more neutral or low state. Emotional highs are a time to celebrate and enjoy the present moment, but with the understanding that this too is part of life's ebb and flow. By appreciating these moments without clinging to them, we maintain a balanced emotional state, ready to flow with the next part of the cycle when it comes. Emotional rhythm in relationships. Just as individuals experience emotional cycles, so do relationships. Whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, or a family bond, all relationships go through phases of closeness and distance, harmony and conflict. This is a natural part of being in connection with others. During periods of emotional distance or tension, it's easy to become discouraged or worried about the state of the relationship. However, by recognizing that relationships also follow a rhythm, we can approach these periods with more understanding and patience. Just as individual emotions ebb and flow, so too do relationships experience their own emotional highs and lows. During times of closeness, nurture the relationship by fully enjoying the connection and intimacy. During times of distance or conflict, focus on communication and understanding, knowing that the relationship is simply moving through a different phase in its rhythm. By respecting these cycles, we can cultivate healthier, more resilient relationships. The role of emotional rhythms in personal growth. Emotional cycles are not just random fluctuations, they play a key role in our personal growth. Often, it's during times of emotional challenge that we learn the most about ourselves. Difficult emotions like sadness, anger, or fear can be powerful teachers, helping us uncover deeper truths about our needs, desires, and patterns of behavior. When we embrace the emotional lows, we gain valuable insight into our inner world. We learn to navigate discomfort, build emotional resilience, and develop greater self-awareness. And when the emotional high returns, we can appreciate it more fully, knowing that we've grown stronger and wiser through the cycle. In this chapter, we've explored the natural rhythm of emotions and how understanding these emotional cycles can lead to greater emotional well-being. By recognizing the ebb and flow of our feelings, we can approach both emotional highs and lows with greater balance and resilience.